The Japanese government sent a trade team over here to the United States to meet with Trump's people last week or the week before last, and no deal has come out of this. And apparently yesterday, or maybe the day before, the Prime Minister of Japan publicly noted that Japan is holding over $1 trillion in U.S. bonds, and that if Trump continues with the tariffs on Japanese goods, they may just dump those bonds, which could throw the United States into, it could just crash the bond market and cause bond yields to spike by 2, 3, 4%. And, we're spending more on interest on our bonds right now, on our national debt, which is, done by bonds. We're spending more on interest than we are on the military, and that it could radically increase that. It really kneecap our government. What are your thoughts on that? And could this presage a depression?
Which is saying something, right, Tom? Because they've increased the defense spending to $1 trillion this year. So much for DOGE and cutting anything. This is the largest defense budget in American history. Yeah. And you're right that the bond payments would be more. Look, this is the only real check that there's been so far on Donald Trump. He himself said when the bond yield started to go to 4.3, 4.4%. He said, I can't.
Carney did that to him by dumping Canadian, held bonds.
And Mark Carney ran circles around him because, as you know, Carney was the head of the Bank of Canada, Bank of England, and basically just started to engineer, it looked like, the dumping of bonds, but also the investors just thought that gold was a better bet than American bonds. Can you imagine that? Because of Trump's threats on the courts and unpredictability, and no one knows what he's going to do. And now if Japan is doing that, it just puts us in an awful position, because it means that we either are going to have a real scare in the bond markets that's the biggest threat to America's economic stability. It's how Liz Truss was removed in Britain. Or Trump is going to basically cave, which is also possible, and end up with a worse deal for the United States than when we started, because he's going to realize that this was not in our interest. And what has he accomplished? He hasn't opened markets in Japan. He has increased input costs for the United States. He's rattled our markets. He's rattling the bond market, and he's pushing Japan and Korea to have a closer alliance with China. Tariffs, people understand that you want to protect strategic industries, but the blanket tariffs and the trade war and what that's doing to small businesses, to manufacturers here is really terrible.